podcast you are choosing to consume. Perhaps you're with us live here on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on Facebook or Twitch. Perhaps you're checking in on this later on whatever podcast platform you listen to them on. Perhaps you're watching it later on YouTube. Whatever it is, we appreciate you joining the Morgan You Know Podcasting Network. My name is Rod Morgan. I will serve as your host. We are going to do Balls and Brew tonight. That is our sports show. We are going to do Yeah, We Know, In the Ring, our wrestling show. But first, we have to talk about the thing that everyone is talking about. We have 4 smart gentlemen here. We can solve this problem once and for all that divided the country over the weekend. Jimmy, is Superman an illegal immigrant?
Oh, my God. Superman is everything that is good with the world today. It was an amazing movie, and he is just something that everyone should aspire to be because he cares about others first. Shocking statement, I know.
Listen, Jimmy, I'm not going to disagree with anything that you just said right there, but I'm not entirely sure that you answered my question, but that's okay. We'll come back to you in a second. Chris, is Superman an immigrant?
Well, yeah, he's an immigrant to Earth, and it doesn't matter which DC multiverse you want to pick the Superman from. You can go. You can even choose Bizarro Superman. It doesn't matter. This is an alien and an immigrant to Earth, just like John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. All right, or Supergirl. Right, these are aliens from other planets that have immigrated or lost their way, have somehow landed on Earth. So yes, they are immigrants. They are aliens on Earth.
Williams, I'm going to ask it to you this way. How much Superman content did you choose or not choose to take in this weekend? Because clearly there was plenty of it.
This weekend could be the same as you asking me in the last 20 years, and that's absolutely zero. So I don't really do the comic book.
Against Superman?
No, I just don't get into comic books, man. But like, it's cool. I don't have any problems against it, but yeah, it's not my thing.
I mean, he's been around for like 80 years or so now. Like I remember when he came out. Okay, there is no new questions you can ask about Superman that hasn't been asked already. All right, we've had all the controversies we've had.
Listen, you worked as a grip. You worked as a key grip on the black and white Superman TV show. All right, I mean, you were a little bit too close to this whole thing. Okay.
All right, I'm just saying, there's not been a controversy that hasn't arisen in the past about Superman, from pink kryptonite turning him gay to illegal immigration status. All right, it's all been written about, drawn about, discussed ad nauseum. I don't think there's anything new that you can discuss.
Hashtag pink kryptonite.
All right, listen. It's clear that Superman is an alien, right? Because his Kryptonian biological makeup is enhanced by the Earth's yellow sun, right? He needs vitamin D for his powers to be what they are, okay? But I think the more interesting question about Superman is this, right? And why I find him absolutely fascinating. Because so often in comic books, we are dealt with people who get ultimate power and it goes completely wrong for them. They decide to use it for nefarious ways. It overtakes them. They become basically the villain of the story, right? Superman is essentially a god on Earth who, like, there's not one thing he can't do, and he chooses to try to save every single person and kill no one and do good. I happen to think that that's a pretty good deal. So I like Superman. I didn't get a chance to go out and check it out this weekend. Jimmy, I know you did. So you tell everybody they should go see it. Get good reviews.
Yeah, I mean, a solid. I'm going to do the Kevin Smith review. Solid, hard 8 out of 10. I mean, really a fun movie. You leave smiling just because it's so fun. It really is.
All right, I want to stay with summer movies for just a quick second here before we round into football. Is there a movie yet to come this summer that people are excited for? Chris, are you looking forward to Fantastic Four? Is there another one you're looking forward to? Where are you at with the summer movies, Chris?
There's really just one movie that I'm interested in, Rod. That's Happy Gilmore 2.
Nice. Okay, so you like the Netflix of it all. You'd rather just say, bring me Happy Gilmore 2 in my living room, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, aren't we all
Jimmy,
just
how about you?
been waiting for that forever?
Go.
I mean, I've already had Sinners was amazing. Loved that. If you haven't seen that, please go see that. Mission Impossible was already good. You know, I mean, it was good, not amazing, good. Superman, but yeah, I think Fantastic Four is something I really am looking forward to seeing as well. So I am big into comic book movies because I think it's fun. I'm fun, Williams.
Williams.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Williams. The last time
Is there
you
a
paid
stats
money to
movie
go
coming
see a
out that you
movie
can't
in
wait to
theaters.
see?
He's waiting for that Moneyball sequel.
That Excel documentary that's just going to be amazing.
Yes, I'm waiting for that.
Did you go see Draft Day?
I didn't. Now I'm also with Chris. I'd like to see Happy Gilmore 2. I think there's a movie called Eddington that might be a little sharper. That's
look at you! Look at
coming
you.
out. Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, Joaquin Phoenix. That looks pretty good.
Look at you, Williams, going with an Oscar bait type movie. You guys all are absolutely wrong. I am absolutely stone cold looking forward to August 1st, The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson. Shoot it into my veins. Let's go. I love slapstick comedy. Airplane's one of my favorite movies of all time. The whole Naked Gun series is great. High School High with John Lovitz is absolutely fabulous. The Scary Movie franchise is great for the first couple. Feed me stupid comedy, and some of the previews for this movie are great. The fact that chili dogs are eating him up and he goes shoots up a bathroom to be able to rush in there, you're gonna get me every time with that. So I'm excited for The Naked Gun.
I love Airplane. Love Airplane.
The previews are on point. It makes you love it.
Yeah.
So I will come back with a review of The Naked Gun later in the summer. But the reason people are here for this particular show is because last week we teased them that we would start going division by division. At the end of the podcast, we got into a huge fight. And so now we are here. We are back. We have to talk about the AFC South. We have to talk about my favorite team, the Indianapolis Colts. If you are doing us a favor and checking this out video-wise, you see that I have my Colts hat on. We're not going to lead off with the Colts, though. We're going to make you wait for the great Colts content. We're going to start out with the team that is probably the weakest in the AFC South, but they did have the number one overall draft pick, so I guess that's something to maybe pay attention to. It'll be interesting to hear what our football handicapper, Josh Williams, because I just realized as I was doing my diatribe there, I did not introduce anybody this evening, so I will do that as I throw it out to you for a question. Our football handicapper, Josh Williams, you are here with us. You've been here with us for years. You crunch the numbers. You pick 3 games a week when the regular season starts. What notes do you have for all of our faithful listeners on the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, what's up, boys? The bottom 3 teams from last year in the AFC South, they all play a top 10 easy schedule from last year, basically because they're all in the AFC South. So this division probably has the best chance of having a division winner that doesn't get to double-digit wins. But yeah, the Titans, they play the 8th easiest schedule in the league, 11th ranked O-line per Brandon Thorne. They're bringing in number 1 overall pick Cam Ward to replace the mayo in your coffee that was Will Levis. Outside of Calvin Ridley, not a ton of firepower at first glance with this offense. And head coach Brian Callahan and his Callahan parts were not very good last year. Lockett.
What are you doing? You are the straight man.
I had to do it there. I know Rob loves it. They brought in Tyler Lockett, Traylon Burks, Chigo Okonkwo at tight end is still there. So the ball's going to be spread around, but like that nobody really gets you excited there. In the backfield, they still have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. I think they want more like closer to 50-50 timeshare with those two. And during the fantasy playoffs last year, Tajay Sharp in PPR leagues was RB5. So believe it or not. So you never know when you take a guy like in the 12th round, he doesn't do much the entire year, and then bam, he gets a chance and ends up being a top 5 back in the playoffs. So the Sharps loved this team last year because they were getting so many points, and they just kept disappointing. So the bar is set tremendously low here, probably along with the Jags and the Colts in this division. So there's not going to be too many bettors like running to the window to take the Titans over on the year. So it might be a good decision to take the over, but it's a super contrarian play because we don't know what we're going to get with Cam Ward here.
Executive producer of this podcast, host of the wrestling show, which will be coming up in the second half of this live broadcast, friend of mine since 3rd grade, all-around great guy, Jimmy Jamriska. When you think Tennessee Titans, faux rival to our Indianapolis Colts, what era Tennessee Titans do you think of? What player pops into your head?
I mean, it's Steve McNair, no question about it. It's
That's
little,
my guy. That's my guy.
Everyone loves Steve McNair, R.I.P. for sure.
Yeah, I totally think of those teams too, right? Because the Colts were just coming up, right? That was just the start of like we were getting the triplets thing going with, the offense was rolling and like we just couldn't quite get past Eddie George and Steve McNair, man. Those teams are absolutely the ones that I think of too. That's a great call, Jimmy Jam. What do you think of this current iteration of the Tennessee Titans?
I have to put this caveat out before all podcasts. I'm horrendous at this. Very, very bad. So listen to Williams, Rod, and Chris, not me. I have Cam Ward winning Rookie of the Year this year. I think what Williams said is true. This is a horrendous division, and I think the winner of this division will have less than 10 wins. And I think that winner will be the Tennessee Titans.
Wow, that
Worst
is
to first prediction.
Spice out of Mr. Jamriska. Goodness gracious. Let's go to the old man on this podcast. The wisdom on this podcast. Do you hear the question mark at the end of me saying wisdom there? But he is definitely the experience on this podcast, even though somehow he'll claim to be a new wrestling fan in the second half of this podcast. But he's been a football fan for a long, long time. That's our guy, Chris King. Chris, hello.
Been around since the Leatherheads, Rod. I tell you what, I think there's got to be a bet somewhere out there that will be, can the winner of the AFC South have less than 10 wins? I think it's a very real possibility. I think there's also a reason why Callahan's been voted, worst rated coach in the NFL right now. So I don't think you can expect a lot. Good luck to Cam Ward. I think he's going to need it. I think they're going to need to run the ball a lot because the offensive line is about the best thing they got going for them.
They did invest a little bit of money in that, right, Williams? As you said, they're going to have a bit of an employed back and forth situation. You don't like to talk about coaches getting fired, but you do sometimes see odds. Is Brian Callahan somebody that you think might be out of a job before the year's over? Do you think Tennessee just is going to go into this year knowing it's not going to be great?
Yeah, it's super interesting because they could give him more time just because they drafted the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward. But if it starts to go super sideways here and they're like 2-10 and they don't see things getting any better, Callahan actually could be the first coach fired. And you don't really see too many coaches get fired midway through their second season, but there's not a whole lot of options this year. There's a lot of sharps that are actually on Mike McDaniel, who we prognosticated last week, the AFC East. But I mean, I still think he's a pretty darn good offensive play caller. He was top 3 when Tua was healthy the first 2 years, and Tua just wasn't healthy last year, dropped down to 24th. So there's a lot of different candidates. Callahan's definitely in the mix. He's definitely like one of the top 5 guys who could get canned early.
Well, listen, man, there's a lot of good play that aren't great head coaches, right? I think Arthur Smith's a pretty darn good play caller, but I'm not sure he's a great head coach at all. Jim, here's why I wonder about Callahan, all right? We talk often about coaches on this podcast. We talk about them football-wise, basketball-wise. Callahan's a real yeller. He really gets into his guys. We saw him last year really getting after Will Levis, like live and on camera. That's why I wonder if the things start going bad in Tennessee, maybe they don't back a guy that certainly seems to be a little more agitation forward than today's modern coach.
Yeah, I think that he's going to bring it back down a little bit with Cam Ward just because he's brand new rookie and all that. So that'll help a little bit. So, and he's obviously got more games under his belt, so he can kind of figure out what his team needs. Hopefully, that's what I'm banking on for sure. I think he'll be okay moving forward. They will start off rough, I'm predicting, but they will win the division.
It is a rookie quarterback, so I like that call out of you here, Jim. You're playing, you're going on talent here. You're saying I like the fact that they have an easy schedule. The NFL is sometimes we get these teams that come out of nowhere, so why not the Tennessee Titans? I think the strong Vegas odds lean in favor of this particular team winning the AFC South. I despise this team's color scheme. I despise this team's logo. I despise this team's stadium name. I despise every person that's ever coached this team. I despise all of their quarterbacks. I love the fact that Deshaun Watson was originally birthed in Houston, and now he is just this blight on all of the NFL and Cleveland and the world. Houston is responsible for it. Do not like the Texans, but they are a pretty solid football team, Williams. So what notes do you have on them?
Yeah, a couple pros for Houston going in is surprisingly they have the number 2 ranked secondary per PFF. I don't think many people would have guessed that, and they only play 5 true outdoor games. But the big difference with the Texans and the 3 other teams in that division is that the 3 other teams play a pretty easy schedule. The Texans play the 8th toughest schedule in the league. Yes, they do add Steph Diggs and Christian Kirk to that wide receiver room, and they're hoping that C.J. Stroud bounces back after letting Bobby Slowick go, offensive coordinator in the offseason. They moved some pieces around up front, but I'm not convinced they were really upgrades. Just like the Dolphins losing their best offensive lineman in the offseason, Teron Armstead at retirement, the Texans lost their best offensive lineman in the offseason to free agency and Laramie Tunsil. So how about this fantasy stat? Through 2 years, CJ Stroud only had 2 times where he's finished QB7 or higher on the week. That's surprising because had such an awesome rookie year. He was the QB 28 in points per game last year. So he really took a big step back. There's a new OC coming in, Nick Conley, has worked under McVay the last 2 years, but before that he was just the tight end and fullbacks coach with the Patriots. So we really don't know too much about him, but everyone who they add on the O-line, PFF is not that thrilled about. So you add in the fact that Tank Dell is not coming back this year from his brutal injury in the wild card game from last year. You've got some question marks on this Houston team. Yes, Nico is a stud. He could be like a top 5 wide receiver this year in fantasy, but I'm just not convinced that this team did enough to upgrade the offensive line to help out Stroud this year.
Let's stay on Stroud there. Chris, you have a reputation on this podcast at times as being tough on certain quarterbacks and being a champion of others. Where do you stand on CJ Stroud?
Listen, I don't root for him because he's a quarterback of the Texans, Rod. I think you understand that.
Let's go.
But let's be honest, all right? You have a kid that had a huge number of sacks last year. I think 24 sacks he got last year. And then ended up throwing 13 interceptions, which is almost triple what he had his first year. And what do you do as a franchise? You get a weaker offensive line, which was your weakness last year. You had an all-pro offensive lineman, and you let him go and replaced him with 2 also-rans because people don't know their names. All right, that's not what you need to do when you're trying to get more out of your third-year quarterback.
Listen, all of that is great analysis, but do you think CJ Stroud has the tools? Have you seen in them what you've seen in your guy Joe Burr? Have you seen in him bad things like your guy Justin Herbert? You like where are we at on this?
He is. He may be the best quarterback in this division. That's about as far as I think I'm willing to go.
Well, Chris, Rod is so angry at you right now, Chris. No, I think you're right on Stroud. He's probably the best quarterback. I mean, he's the best quarterback in the division, right? But as William said, and I really looked at all these games, when you've got the Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, and Chargers on your schedule, that's disgusting. I mean, it really is. You're out an offensive lineman. You're out a lot of receivers because Williams, if you remember, Diggs is a Patriot now. So they're in trouble. I really think they're in trouble. So I've got them actually 3rd in the division. I don't think they're going to have a good season at all. Rod, you back?
My whole preamble for the Titans is just completely thrown asunder by all of you guys. All right, listen, I know that my team is not going to be in contention in this division. I know the Titans are terrible. So I guess it's this 3rd team that we're going to talk about. The team is Usher, which new wasn't going to fire a manager. They the head coach, all their general manager, a lot of weirdness going on there. Trevor Lawrence looks like Ronnie Sunshine Bass. We all love that, but is he a good quarterback? What's going on in Jacksonville?
Yeah, the Jags play the 6th easiest schedule in the league. Liam Cohen, the secret bassist of Oasis, coming in from Tampa Bay as head coach. Jimmy loves it. Last year, he helped Baker become
what you are and who you are, but whatever.
Last year, he helped Baker become one of only 4 quarterbacks with 70% completion percentage and at least 40 touchdowns in a season in NFL history. Burrow also did it last year. Breeze and Rodgers did it in past seasons. That's unbelievable. But this isn't the first time he's improved QB play. The schedule this year in week 7, the Jags go out to London and take on not only Cohen's former team, but also the Jags GM, James Gladstone's former team, and the Rams. In 2022, Cohen was the OC in LA. What happened that year? Stafford had his highest completion percentage of his 16-year career. So just like what I think is going to happen in Chicago with Ben Johnson elevating Caleb Williams' play, and more importantly, his decision-making, I think Liam Cohen is going to elevate Trevor Lawrence's play and probably more importantly, his decision-making. They got Brian Thomas Jr., who was awesome last year as a rookie. They brought in Travis Hunter. He should elevate the passing game with his athleticism, great catch radius from Colorado. They also signed De'Ami Brown to help with depth at wide receiver. Brenton Strange could come on at tight end position after Evan Ingram's departure. Remember, last year with the Bucs, Cade Otton had a really solid year at tight end under Cohen. So Travis Etienne is in a contract year. I think it's his last year in Jacksonville because they have their goal line back and Tank Bigsby, and they drafted their future back in April with Virginia Tech's Bishal Tutin. And at the combine for this guy, guys, he had, for running backs, he had the fastest 40-yard dash, the fastest 10-second split, and the highest vertical jump. This guy is super athletic. You ask why he didn't go earlier. It's because he has some fumbling problems. But one of these guys, Rod, you asked me last week, like, who is your fantasy sleeper in this division? One of these guys is going to outperform ADP. ETN's going in the 9th round right now. Tutin's in the 11th, and Bigsby's in the 14th round. So if you have a multiple drafts, try to get at least one of those guys on your team. Jags secondary might not be good. There's not a ton of household names on that D, but I have faith in Liam Cohen to get it somewhat turned around this season with 2 of the more electric collegiate players now on the roster, and Travis Hunter and Bishal Tutin. For my best bet win total from this division, I'll take the Jags over 7.5 minus 110 on FanDuel.
Wow. Well, maybe Liam Cohen is going to be the one that saves the Jaguars. You see what I did there? I'm worried about the London game for the Jaguars, Williams. You talked about them being in London. We know the Jags always have a London game. I'm a little worried that Liam Cohen might be a little bit sauced up, a little bit hungover, a little bit maybe not at his best. He's going to be back in his homeland, running around with his mates. He comes home as the conquering hero, guy who's got all the power from the Khan family in Jacksonville, running around the state of Florida. Probably has a pet alligator in his house now that he lives down in Florida. I have no idea what people do in Florida, but it seems that they do absolutely crazy things. I think a lot of that rests on Trevor Lawrence. Jimmy, we have watched Trevor Lawrence play in the NFL for a couple of years. What are your thoughts about a man who quite frequently takes on our Colts?
Well, he's obviously still would have been the number 1 pick in that draft, mostly because the other quarterbacks really didn't do anything. He's fine, but he hasn't been able to elevate, like a Josh Allen, just taking over. Obviously, I'm comparing him to one of the best players in the MVP of the league, right? But he hasn't been able to do that yet. And again, I'm a big schedule guy, and their first 8 games, you're talking Bengals, you're talking Chiefs, you're talking Seahawks, Rams. That's a tough schedule to start with, and I think they start slow and they don't get back.
Chris, you seem to have a little bit of Jaguars optimism as well. What is it for you that has you up on the Jaguars leading into the season?
They got the most exciting player in the NFL right now, as far as I'm concerned. And this is based off just purely potential, and that's Travis Hunter. All right. If they are successful in being able to expertly use him in the offense, be successful, and then be able to use him consistently as a decoy, because then you don't know what to do. You're putting so much more pressure on the defense. And I think that gives you and Lawrence more time to actually read the defense and make the correct decision. Because I think that's one thing that's hurting him, is he's not had the real time to do that. The offensive line isn't great in Jacksonville. I think Travis Hunter being used correctly on offense especially makes their life so much easier and puts the other team's defensive so much more pressure.
Williams, that's the first time that Travis Hunter's name has came up. He was a top pick in the NFL draft. The Jags gave up a bunch of capital to go up and get him. What do you think about Chris's take there that we could see both sides football impact out of Travis Hunter this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna. I think Cohen's gonna put him in good situations. He's got monster hands, man. He's a great red zone threat, and Brian Thomas Jr. is a great. He runs great go routes, and he's a good red zone threat too. And if you get Tootin going, just tremendous athleticism all of a sudden for this Jacksonville team. And Bigsby is a really good goal line back. So Hunter, it's going to be interesting to see how many offensive and defensive plays that he plays, because they're probably going to need him on defense in that secondary. If you have some questions with the Jacksonville team, it's probably their secondary and honestly probably their offensive line. So it's not going to be easy for Cohen at all, because obviously Tampa Bay had a better offensive line than Jacksonville does. So he's going to have to get creative, but I think he's going to put Lawrence in position to make some positive plays and bring that completion percentage up.
Are honest in here having me be the only one that is chuckling inside every time that Williams says Tootin? Like nobody else is laughing at all about Tootin being this guy's last name and thinking about like rooting Tootin. Like nobody else is doing that every time that he says Tootin. Is that just me?
Nah, it's everybody.
All right. Well, see, again, this is what I bring to the podcast. I was also trying to throw a little non sequitur out there, a little maybe get us off the scent, because there is only one team left to talk about in the AFC South, a team that seems to be on the downward spiral, so much so Jimmy decided to flee the state of Indiana and give up his tickets to see this team and move to Kentucky. We're talking about the Indianapolis Colts. I guess Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for your Indianapolis Colts at this moment. Let's go, Danny Dimes, I guess. I still desperately want to see Anthony Richardson as quarterback for the Colts, but he's hurt right now, I guess. Then he's going to be behind the 8-ball and not knowing the offense, which is the complaint they've made about him all the time. Like, there's a few defenders, I guess, I can be excited about. Shane Steichen maybe is a good play caller. Like, I don't know. Williams, what am I supposed to think about the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, out of any team in the NFL, I think the Colts are the highest variant team. They have the highest variance out of any team this year. So they do play the 12th easiest schedule in the league, but they did lose Ryan Kelly and Will Fries on the O-line, both to the Minnesota Vikings. They do bring in Daniel Jones, as you said, for insurance on A-Rich. I will note that Michael Pittman played through a broken back and bad shoulder last year. So I have a feeling that played into his underproductive season last season.
Maybe might have.
Yeah, Mr. Obvious checking in here.
Sounded like a WWE wrestler there with that resume, Jim. A broken back and he's still wrestling. Sounds like a WWE.
I love how he said he played through a broken back. What a wimp.
And remember, they did add do-it-all tight end Tyler Warren in the draft. You were super excited about that, Rod. And JT is still super solid at running back. They do play 11 games indoors. I think what Steichen did last year, he tried to develop a pocket presence for A-Rich. And I get it. He tried to structure that offense around him. Like, think super young Lamar, think super young Josh Allen. Those guys had a ton of issues early in their career, things they had to get over. Then A-Rich gets hurt. Steichen has to change the offense to fit the backup. A-Rich comes back, and then that offense that Steichen was running actually suits A-Rich better for where he's at right now. They were going play action. They were attacking deep downfield. They weren't doing like the short intermediate routes or timing routes that A-Rich struggles with at this point of his career. So in at least in the range of outcomes for the Colts to start A-Rich, I think it's possible. And now Steichen has the offseason to develop his game plan around maximizing what A-Rich does bring to the table. So I'm a contrarian believer where I still believe that A-Rich can have a successful season. And in super flex fantasy leagues like the one I play in, I'll be taking a shot on A-Rich as my third quarterback if I can get him. At his current ADP, his reward massively outweighs his risk. Last year he was going super early, so it didn't make a whole lot of sense to take him. But that's my take on the Colts there. So
those all are things that can be known. Chris, I got to go to you on something that I guess you can put in the realm of the unknown, something that you talk about quite often on this podcast, and that is ownership. Irsay has passed away. He is no longer calling the shots for the Colts. I believe it is his daughter, right? Or there's kind of like a family structure, and the daughter is the head, or something like that. Do we anticipate anything being different for the Colts? Triumvirate. There you go. Do we anticipate anything being different for the Colts? Do we have any way of knowing? What's your thoughts there?
I don't think we have any way of knowing, right? Everything is way too fresh soon. Everything for this season was essentially already set in motion and moving forward, right? So I don't think you're not going to see anything. I don't think this year, maybe next year, but I think it's too soon to know. Do we know who these people are? Not really. Irsay lived in the spotlight for a lot of his life while he was the owner of the Colts for many various reasons. So we got to know him rather well. We don't know these girls.
I guess I heard little bits and pieces that people say, and again, I believe is Ashley. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that, but people say that she's pretty sharp and actually has been kind of doing a lot of stuff for the Colts anyway. So I have no reason to think that things are like you're going to be downtrodden because Irsay's not around anymore. But what are you thinking about vis-a-vis new ownership?
I think that they've been doing it for a couple years now. Anyway, I'm really not worried about the ownership at all. I am a little worried about the front office though. At what point I like Chris Ballard, but at what point is enough? It's looking like they really missed big on Richardson. Now you can go back and say, well, he was really the only option at that time, and we would have killed him if he didn't pick Richardson. That's a little tough for me. Rod, I was talking to a Colts fan, and the Colts fan this weekend said the only chance that we have is if Daniel Jones is this year's Sam Darnold. Any chance at all in your mind that Daniel Jones can be Sam Darnold this year?
Listen, I'm not against Daniel Jones. I believe in some of the flashes we saw in New York, right? Because of New York's a pressure cooker. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to deal with some things and be able to perform a little bit under pressure, even if the team's not good, just because of the absolute weight that is always on your shoulders as the Giants quarterback. So I believe a little bit in Daniel Jones' gifts. I believe a little bit in Shane Steichen as a play caller because I trust our guy Williams as a handicapper. He's been with us for all these years, and he's always spoke highly of Steichen. So that has me leaning on the side of I'd like to go with you on that. But ultimately, I think, Chris, where I land on that is if that's the fulcrum for the Colts season, that is a dangerous edge to be on, and I don't like being there.
Right? Yeah. No, you don't want to be there. This is what I'm
I love Chris. You know what? Yeah, no. Wrong. No, ain't happening. Don't want to,
but listen, Ballard has done as far as I'm concerned, a good job building a roster. We have a lot of talent. We still have a good offensive line according to PFF, right? One of the top 10 offensive lines in the league. We have a very talented receiving core. Our secondary is now going to be one of the toughest in the league. We improved our defensive line. We are not deep at linebacker. Let's be real. All right. We still have Jonathan Taylor, right? Where he's been weakest at so far is quarterback. And if that's the one position he's weakest at, it sucks because that's important. But we don't need Sam Darnold. We don't need anything but consistency. Whatever it is, just be consistent, right? And if Daniel Jones can be consistent, which is with arguably the most talent he's ever had on a team around him, then we can probably win this division.
Jimmy, can I say one thing that I believe is true, but actually in my heart of hearts want something else? Is that okay for me to do? Because that's absolutely where I'm at on the Colts. I believe everything that I just said about Daniel Jones and the fact that he might be good and ultimately he could scrape together a season that the Colts would be able to get by and make the playoffs. But ultimately, Daniel Jones is on a 1-year contract. he having a great season for the Indianapolis Colts doesn't necessarily denote great things into the future for the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson coming around and learning how to play quarterback and becoming viable and becoming someone who might even be a plus quarterback, that helps the Colts moving ahead in the future. I don't think anybody in Indianapolis should have delusions of grandeur that they should win the Super Bowl. Am I wrong in saying I believe that Jones might be better than people think, but ultimately I want to see A. Rich play all year long?
Yeah, but then you get into the whole, contract extension and all that. I know he's through 2027, so that brings up some more questions for you. But yeah, I think you're right, Rod. I think all Colts fans really do want to see Anthony Richardson succeed.
I do.
I mean, really.
Give me A. Rich all year long.
Of course. I mean, my kids both got the number 5 jerseys when he got drafted. We were set to go, and then last year they weren't wearing them. So we would really like to see them do well and him be the reason they do it. So I would love to see that happen. Yes.
Williams, I think you're a little better suited to answer this question than me, Chris, or Jimmy, because we're all a little too close to the Colts. You can also look at this organization-wide. Clearly, the Colt fans and the Colt fans you do this podcast with want Anthony Richardson to succeed. But do you think the Colts want Anthony Richardson to succeed? Meaning Ballard, meaning the decision makers there. Like, I mean, you've talked a little bit about this process. Do you think the Colts actually want Anthony Richardson to succeed?
Yeah. I mean, I think Daniel Jones was more of just an insurance policy. I've been surprised with the media how this has taken off. With they think Daniel Jones is going to start half the year, and maybe he will. But I'm with you guys. I'm team Anthony Richardson all year. Like, even if you think that he stinks, he's got an up and down trajectory, man. Like, he just needs time. And like you said it last week, he's only played like 20 NFL games. So, and I want to see him play because he's super athletic. And like I said, I think Steichen realized what he had to do later on in the year last year to succeed. Now, whether or not Richardson can be consistent enough to have decent results this year, I'm not sure. But that I want to at least watch him try to do it. Like, we know what Daniel Jones is, and I think he can possibly have a Sam Darnold type of season. Maybe if there's like a 25 or 30% chance that happens. But you're right, Rod. Like, that doesn't really get you anywhere. There's no way the Colts are going 15-2 like the Vikings did last year. So you'd rather see A. Rich play the whole year or a majority of the year to figure out what you have to then answer Jimmy's question, whether or not you sign him long-term or not. So, yeah, I'd rather see A. Rich play 16 games this year, 17 games.
All right, let's go. Let's put all of ourselves right up against the wall. Let's make a prediction. I believe it's going to be a rough year in Indy. I think they will be lucky to win 6 games. I don't see them really sniffing the playoffs. That's where I'm at. I wish I wasn't there, but that's just where I'm at. Jimmy Jam, how about you?
All right. Did you ask me a question, Rob? Yeah. Because my
your pick.
The heavens in Kentucky are opening up right now. So if I'm not here in a few minutes, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. The pick for the Colts, I'm going to say they're going to be in second place. I think they're going to have a decent season. I think they're going to be under 500, but in second place.
Who do you got winning the division?
I've already said, hey, ROY, Cam Ward, Titans, let's go.
Wow.
All right. Anybody else? What else?
Yep. I'm going Colts. Colts get 10 wins. Win the division over the Jags, who get 9 wins.
Is Drew McIntyre going to be the quarterback for the Colts coming up or not?
Then you got Houston finishing third and Tennessee bringing up the end.
Okay, Williams, have you given yours?
I have not.
Okay, Williams, who you got?
I think the Colts go anywhere. I think they can finish like 7-10. I think this whole division just like beats up on each other, man. Like this whole division, I think could finish between like 6-11 and 9-8.
Yeah. I've kind of gone back and forth a little bit. I have where'd that go? I have
8-1.
I have the Titans at 9-8, winning the division. Colts at 8-9, and then the Texans and Jags. I have 4-13 and 3-13. That's a little low on both.
Well, remember,
I really think it's just going to be a bad division.
Yeah, last year I was spot on with Jacksonville. I predicted them 4-13, one of the few teams I got exactly right, and I'm much higher on them this year. So hopefully we get something right in the AFC
I hope I'm
South.
wrong on that. Trevor Lawrence. Listen, I'm a Colts fan. Obviously, hate the Jags, but you want to see people succeed. I'd like to see Trevor Lawrence succeed.
Well,
I know, Chris, you don't want to have him succeed. I get that.
Well, no, I want the Colts to succeed, but this is a much more exciting division than the division we did last week, the AFC East. Like, that's not up for grabs. There's not a whole lot of real positioning for anything other than what are we going to do next year? Buffalo has that. This is a much more exciting division because really all these teams, maybe not Tennessee, sorry, Jimmy, but every other team has a real chance.
Hey, Chris, I hate to disagree with you, man, but remember, Bills are my team this year. I think that's the most exciting division in football because it's wide open now. It is wide open.
I think all four of us are going to pick different division winners for this division.
Yeah, I think so. Because Rod picked. Yeah, wait, who did you pick though, Williams?
I'm going to guess Rod's going to take Houston.
Yeah, Rod's going to take you. Are you taking the Jaguars?
I think so.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Yeah,
we can hear you. You're also in here twice, so that's kind of fun.
I know. I was just trying to make sure I didn't delete the other recording. You know what I mean? We're rolling on the fly.
Rod is going to pick Houston Texans, I think, right? Oh no, I'm
definitely
train
going
wreck
with the Houston Texans. Oh man.
All right. Well, Rod has picked the Houston Texans. That has been Balls and Brew on the Morgan Knows Podcasting Network. We're going to try to do
Does Williams have the Jags winning?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's got the Jags winning. Yeah, we each have a different team. I love it.
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You guys are Colts fans, and none of you are picking the Colts other than me.
Dude, we can be realistic, okay? I'm sorry. It's the Colts. Have you seen them play?
Disappointed that none of us
is so angry. Like, dude.
I think you're spot on that there could be two teams tied for the top at 8-1. And how perfect would that be for the AFC South?
Do I have to go to like the fifth tiebreaker?
Yeah.
How many rushing yards in the third game did each of them have? Yeah. Listen, Chris, I've got the Colts going 8-9. I think they're going to have a respectable year, better than last year overall. I know they had more wins, but I really think overall you're going to have a better feeling this year than last year.
Let's go Colts. I'm a real fan.
No shrug. He's disgusted with you, Jimmy. The shrug.
All right, let's get to the fast break. Thanks, Williams. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, we'll see you later. AFC North next week. Yeah?
AFC North next week is the AFC North, and Williams is frozen now, too. Is everybody frozen?
I can hear you.
No. Yeah, no.
Or am I the one that's frozen? I'm the one that's frozen.
You're the one that's having trouble hearing everybody,
no
Jimmy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Rod. We can still hear you. We haven't stopped hearing you.
Rod, great point. Right. Great point, Rod.
All right, what we're going to do is we are going to all leave, and then Rod, Chris, and I are going to come back, talk a little basketball and wrestling here in just a minute. So we are going to stop this because, oh my, and then we'll be back here in just a few minutes on the More You Know Podcasting Network.
Goodbye, Internet.